the last part on this video. Hopefully you guys love this video. John Wheeler is amazing. That's why I deep dived on him. And my first part was reading what he did. This part going into video from thank the Law of Insights for this video. Law of Insights has a lot of good quality videos as I'm finding out a lot of different groups like the Law of Insights, Stellify have a lot of good videos. Besides some of the old people I approve of that I really dig, like Sanchez's video really went to me real. And then this one right here. So there's, without further ado, we're not going to just sit up here and me talk. We're going to get to this to finish up this episode with the last part of this video with about John Wheeler and the participation. Yes. Let's go.
And the answer it needs to keep unfolding. And once you understand that, you stop asking whether life is meaningless, and you start asking, what meaning am I willing to give it? Because every time you ask, the universe becomes a little more real. Not because it had the answer all along, but because you were willing to show up and shape it.
I dig
You've
that.
been taught to believe that questions
Hmm.
are a sign of ignorance, that the smartest people have the answers, and the rest of us
That's what they
are just
embarrass
trying
us
to
in
catch
school.
up. But what if that's completely backwards? What if the question itself is the engine of reality, and the answer only arrives because you dared to ask? This is what John Wheeler saw so clearly. He didn't treat questions as gaps in knowledge. He treated them as the fundamental building blocks of existence, that every time a conscious being asks, the universe responds, not just with information, but with formation. Wheeler's famous quote says it all: the universe is built on billions upon billions of elementary acts of observer participancy. That means you aren't a passive consumer of a pre-written world. You are an agent of unfolding. And the key to your role? The questions you ask. Not just in science or philosophy, but in your own life. Because every why, every what if, every how do I become sends a ripple into the structure of what reality is becoming. The system doesn't want you asking those kinds of questions. It wants you settled, distracted, comfortable inside the shell of answers it hands you. Get a
Yes.
job. Be realistic. Don't ask too much. Don't look too far. You were trained to seek answers fast, to value certainty over curiosity, and to view doubt as weakness. But that was never for your benefit. It was for your containment. Because questions are dangerous to systems of control.
Come on
They
now.
create openings, loopholes, new timelines. They refuse to accept the script. They demand a rewrite. Every breakthrough in science, art, culture, every rebellion, every revolution began not with a solution, but with a question no one was supposed to ask.
Come on
That's
now.
what Wheeler was doing when he challenged the foundations of physics. He was asking what would happen if the observer wasn't just measuring the world, but helping make it.
Why doesn't everyone between 45 and 65 claim the
As soon as I get the,
$250,000 life?
And when he asked that question, everything began to shift. What does that look like in your life? It's when you stop asking, how do I survive this system? And start asking, what would it look like if I didn't need it? It's when you stop wondering, what's wrong with me? And start exploring, what part of me is waking up? These aren't questions meant for other people to answer. They're catalysts for the next version of your world to unfold. Most people live their entire lives answering questions someone else asked for them. What do you want to be when you grow up? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? How will you contribute to society? But you were never taught to question the questions.
come
To ask
on now.
why you should conform to a vision of success
Come on
that
now.
empties your spirit. You were taught to obey the test,
Come on
not
now.
write your own. But
Yes.
once you realize you're a co-creator in this participatory universe, that changes. You start to ask better questions. Questions with friction. Questions that can't be answered with a quick Google search or a neat formula. Questions that linger. And in that lingering, space opens. Possibilities appear. New outcomes become available that weren't even on the map before you asked. The universe, as Wheeler saw it, is not made of cold laws and detached numbers. It's made of participation, of engagement. of a constant dialogue between mind and matter. You speak, it responds. You wonder, it configures. And if you've ever felt like reality shifted because of a thought you had, a decision you made, or a belief you let go of, maybe it did. Maybe your question rearranged the fabric just enough to let something new emerge. So ask. Ask without fear. Ask without the need for instant closure. The act of asking is itself a creative force. It signals to the universe that you're not here to repeat, but to reimagine. And when you ask from a place of authenticity, not performance, the response comes. Not always in words, not always in ways you expect, but it comes. Because you're not asking into a void, you're asking into a field that's listening. Your reality doesn't just change because you work harder or wait longer, it changes because you see differently. And seeing differently begins with asking something new. The universe isn't looking for perfect people with perfect plans. It's looking for participants willing to ask bold questions and listen. So what are you asking now? Are you asking whether your life can change? Or are you asking what happens when you stop playing by someone else's rules and start writing your own? Whatever the question, don't underestimate its power. Because in Wheeler's universe, every question isn't just a search for truth. It's an invitation for something entirely new to exist. Not all truths are hidden in shadows. Some are buried in plain sight, dismissed as too strange to be taken seriously, too abstract to be useful, too dangerous to let spread. John Wheeler's idea that consciousness participates in the construction of reality wasn't just ignored by the mainstream, it was quietly exiled. Not because it lacked evidence, but because it carried implications that threatened the entire structure of how society is
The
controlled.
elite didn't want
Because
that
if you
said.
really understood that your attention shapes your world, you'd stop giving it away
Yes.
so cheaply.
Wow.
Wheeler wasn't a fringe thinker. He wasn't trying to sell hope or magic. He was a physicist embedded at the highest levels of academia, intelligence, and national science. Yet the more he questioned the nature of reality, the more he saw something too disruptive to ignore. If observers shape outcomes, and we are all observers, then we are shaping the entire structure of what's real.
Yeah.
That doesn't just challenge science, it challenges power. Because a society built on top-down control
Yeah.
depends on a specific illusion, that reality is fixed, external, and unaffected by you. If you believe that the world is already formed and you're just a pawn moving through it, then you'll spend your life reacting instead of
Not
creating.
Yes.
You'll work jobs you hate, obey rules you never agreed to, buy things to distract from your emptiness, and never stop to wonder where your authority went. That illusion keeps systems stable. It keeps power concentrated. It keeps you small. But Wheeler's participatory universe implies that each of us holds a kind of cosmic pen. That reality is not passed down, it's co-authored. And if people truly grasp that, they wouldn't wait to be given permission to live differently. They would realize that every act of attention is a vote. Every belief is an instruction. Every choice is a creative act. Not metaphorically, quantum mechanically. So of course these ideas were buried. Of course,
Yeah.
they were branded as speculative,
Of
mystical,
course.
impractical, not because they weren't true, but because truth, when combined with agency, becomes dangerous. When people
Matrix.
realize they're not consumers of reality, but contributors to
yeah.
it,
Creating your own
everything
downfall.
changes. They begin to question the narratives that bind them, the headlines, the authority figures, the systems pretending to be neutral arbiters of truth. They begin to recognize that those systems thrive by keeping your attention locked in predictable loops, fear, outrage,
Yes.
distraction, consumption, because once your attention is captured,
division,
your participation is hijacked.
totally divided.
And if your participation shapes reality, then your hijacked focus means they're creating your world for you. Wheeler saw
You're
this
helping
long
them.
before it became popular to talk about simulation theory or consciousness-first cosmology. He understood that we are embedded in a feedback loop, and the loop is aware. That awareness is not the end of the universe's story. It is the beginning of it. And when you live without that awareness, your life becomes a series of reactions to outcomes you didn't
Wow.
consciously choose. You're not awake. You're asleep in someone else's version of reality, dreaming someone else's dream.
Wow.
But when you wake up to this truth, you become a problem. Not to yourself, but to the systems that depend on your unconscious compliance.
Mhm.
Because the moment you realize you can shape the story, the old scripts lose their power. The story of who you're supposed to be, the story of what life is supposed to look like, the story of your limits, your worth, your role in the world. You stop playing the part and you start writing the plot.
Yes.
This is why Wheeler's most important idea isn't in most textbooks. It's why physics courses glaze over the philosophical implications of quantum theory.
Yes.
Because once you get past the equations and into the meaning, things get unstable.
it reveals the
Not
Punkido.
scientifically,
Yeah.
but socially. And that's the real threat. Not the math, but the meaning. The truth is, we are standing on the edge of an intellectual revolution, one that terrifies traditional systems. Because it doesn't just change what we know, it changes who gets to define reality. Wheeler was pointing at this when he said, we are no longer satisfied with insights into particles or
Yes.
fields of force
Wow.
or geometry or even space and time. Today, we demand of physics some understanding of existence itself. He wasn't calling for more data. He was calling for a deeper awareness.
Come on now.
He was calling for people like you to step into the role you were told doesn't exist, the role of participant. And now that you know what's at stake, ask yourself this: who benefits from you not knowing this? Who profits when you dismiss your consciousness as insignificant? Who gains when you hand over your attention to algorithms, your beliefs to institutions, and your time to systems designed to keep you distracted? The answers are obvious. But the next question is yours to ask. Look closely at the life you've lived up to now. The relationships you built, the chances you took, the dreams you chased or ignored. It's tempting to see it all as a result of circumstances, timing, luck, or other people's choices. That's the story most people carry. The one the system wants you to accept, that you're just reacting to reality, not shaping it. But the truth? You've been co-authoring this entire time. You've been collapsing infinite possibilities into a single lived experience
Yes.
with every belief you held, every perspective you chose, every question you dared or didn't dare to ask. John Wheeler's universe was never passive, and neither were you. You were just never told you held the pen. We are taught to live by prediction, not intention.
Yes.
To forecast outcomes, manage risks, and obey the boundaries of what's already been proven. But Wheeler's work shows that the universe doesn't reward prediction. It rewards participation. The cosmos isn't a fixed object, it's a living question. And the
Mm.
moment you choose to step into that question fully, you begin shaping the answer it gives you. Reality becomes responsive, not rigid. And suddenly, what once felt out of reach begins to rearrange itself around your presence. Think about how your life has unfolded so far. The patterns that repeat, the limits that show up, dressed as logic, the invisible ceiling you stopped trying to break because everyone around you said it wasn't realistic. But what if those patterns weren't just how things are? What if they were the natural result of your previous beliefs being reflected back to you?
Yeah.
Not as punishment, but as confirmation. The universe doesn't mock you, it mirrors you.
Yes.
And when you realize that, you stop begging it for scraps and start conversing with it like a partner.
Yes.
Because what you focus on
I'm praying to it.
multiplies.
Yeah.
What
Then
you
you become
observe
prey.
with intention, even quietly, begins to take form. Wheeler didn't invent that idea, he just proved it. And if you've ever experienced synchronicity, those uncanny moments where your thoughts, feelings, or decisions seem to align
If you're missing 5 or more
I'll get
teeth,
this out
this
real
might be
quick.
the most important 30 seconds of your day. There's finally a solution.
with the outside world in impossible ways, that wasn't a coincidence. That was you glimpsing the mechanism. That was you brushing up against the truth that your inner state is not separate from the outer world. The observer effect doesn't end in a laboratory, it follows you everywhere. So if your life feels stuck, if you feel like nothing changes no matter how hard you try, ask yourself what you've been observing, what you've been choosing to focus on
Yeah.
again and again.
You're the projector.
Because attention is participation,
Yeah.
and participation is creation. You've been shaping outcomes without realizing it.
Yes.
The
Being
question
used.
now is whether you're ready to do it
Creating our
on
own
purpose.
box.
Because once you begin to live
Yeah.
consciously, you need a space
Shake
that
it off.
honors that
You need to
awareness.
shake it
A
off.
place where questioning is celebrated, not censored, where you're reminded that your curiosity is power, that your attention is sacred, that your thoughts are not background noise, they are commands. You were the author this whole time, but now you get to write with intention. You get to question with purpose. You get to observe with awareness and decide which version of the world you're helping bring into being. Because Wheeler didn't just point to a new kind of science, he pointed to a new kind of self, a
Yeah.
version of you that stops reacting and starts shaping, that stops asking for permission and starts collaborating with existence itself. So look again at your life, at the places where you feel powerless, at the roles you've accepted out of habit, at the dreams you shelved because they didn't fit into the structure someone else built.
Right.
The universe isn't judging you for playing small. It's just waiting for
Why
you to
many of
remember
never fit
that
into
you
the
don't have
system in
to.
school.
You can participate differently. You can observe with intention. You can speak your questions into the field and watch what answers emerge. Because you were never just a product of your past.
Come on now.
You were the participant that made it real.
Yeah.
And now,
And didn't
the
know it.
next moment is waiting to be written, not by the old script,
Come on.
but by you. Everything you've just heard, Wheeler's participatory universe, the observer shaping reality, the system's fear of your awareness, none of it matters unless you act on it. That's the final trap. The system is clever. It will let you learn, even let you feel like you're waking up, as long as you stay passive, as long as you keep the knowledge in your head and not your hands. But if there's one thing John Wheeler's work proves, it's that observation alone is not neutral. It's active.
Come on
It
now.
changes things. And that means you've already started. The moment you began paying attention to this idea, your world began shifting in ways you might not yet understand. But you will. You're standing at a crossroads now. On one side is the old path, the familiar rhythm of routines, assumptions, and beliefs that
Algorithm.
never really belong to you. It's safe, predictable, tidy, and deadening.
Algorithm.
On the other side, the path where you live like a co-creator, where
Blitz
you
the
act
bitch.
as though the
That's where
universe
you glitch it.
responds to your
Yes.
awareness, because it does.
You start
Where you
creating.
choose your thoughts with care, ask better questions, and break the loop of sleepwalking through someone else's script.
Yes.
That path is
Wow.
messier, it's less certain,
Free in their
but
reality.
it's alive. And aliveness is the
And it
point.
ends.
Wheeler didn't devote his life to physics to win awards or follow rules. He was searching for something deeper, a truth that would pull back the veil on everything we thought we knew. And when he found it, he didn't hoard it. He whispered it to the few who would listen, those willing to step beyond the safety of consensus reality. You are now one of them. You've spent most of your life taught to outsource your reality, to teachers, to media, to traditions, to experts. But now, you're beginning to see that the most radical shift you can make is to reclaim your ability to observe consciously, to choose deliberately, and to live as though your attention builds the world brick by brick. Because it does. And maybe you're wondering, where do I even start? How do I unlearn decades of programming and step into this new way of seeing? You begin here. You begin by watching what you watch, listening to what you listen to, and filtering every narrative you consume through the lens of your sovereignty.
Yeah.
You ask,
That's the
does
key
this
word.
story empower
There's
me
the sovereignty.
or shrink me?
Yeah.
Who benefits if I believe this? These questions are not small. They're the tools of revolution.
Yeah.
This video right here.
Wow, this is
never
really
released.
good. It's winding down. We're almost done.
First video that is completely.
And if you're still listening, you know this isn't just some abstract theory or philosophical indulgence. This is about you, your life, your potential. This is about finally waking up and living in a way that aligns with what you now understand to be true. Because what's the alternative? To keep obeying a script that was never written with your freedom in mind?
Yes.
To keep playing the role of the passive character in a universe begging you to participate? No, that ends here. We're not done, though. This conversation is only just beginning. If you want to go deeper, beyond what we can say in a YouTube video, join us inside Insights Academy, our free newsletter where we share the hidden knowledge too raw, too direct, and too powerful for platforms like this. The kind of truths that need space, that need protection, that need people like you to carry them forward. And for a limited time, when you sign up using the link in the description, you'll also get a free digital copy of The Kybalion, a foundational book in understanding the Hermetic principles Wheeler was unknowingly echoing. Don't miss this. Don't let the system win by distracting you now, because the system doesn't fear chaos. It fears clarity. And when you begin to act from clarity, when you live as a conscious observer, you become the one thing it can't control.
Yeah.
You become unpredictable,
Start creating
free,
that other
awake.
reality.
And when
Timeline
enough
split,
people
could
do
it
that,
be?
the world itself changes. Not just in metaphor, in physics, in reality. But here's the truth. Everything you've just learned is useless unless you understand why it matters. Because you can know you're the co-creator, but if you don't understand the deeper mechanism at play, the entire game resets and you fall back asleep. That's why the next thing you need to hear is not a suggestion. It's essential. Click on the video you see right here, because without that missing piece, none of this will stick. None of this will matter. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting.
Powerful, folks. Really powerful. That's why I had to share it. That's why I definitely had to share it and go in on it, because I knew it was powerful. I've been revelating on this. I've been down for the last few months. This has been leading me to everything I've did here, and even making videos, and to where I've been lately, because I know some people have tried to contact me. I've really been into the fellowship of myself and in doing the things that I know are next level to be led, and where we're at. When I start seeing where we're at in the physical and what the plans are, those plans don't benefit you. It's a script, like Sanchez said. And he told you pretty much just straightforward what the script was. But this really tells me my power and how important we all are to this reality, and even the universe of the co-creating aspect of it. Just not somebody along for a ride, but somebody who's really doing it. And even Mr. Wheeler, who in academia broke the hinges off power and control. He did. He really came forth with something that was definitely within science, next level in the participation of the universe, that you're the co-creator with it. And then the elite going, oh, we can't have this put in books because this is like waking to spiritual knowledge. He's telling us through academia that you're powerful beings, and people can start waking up and going, hey, let's go in unity and start creating what we want to create together. What do we want to create together? A unity, a oneness, duality. And I don't mean duality is in divide and conquer mentality. Hit the road, Jack. We're done. And taking back your power, because we're being used, we're being pimped to create a reality for a bunch of ones who are unworthy. They're just deceivers. They're deceivers. And hijacking their own death, and then just doing the stuff they did, staying in bloodline, staying in power from millenniums back. This ancient technology that we see is not new technology. It was used before. In every country, every society that got integrated, guess what they did? They had a cataclysm and they sunk into the sea, or turn into a desert, and in between. The Mayans, Sanchez said the Mayans spoke of their own fall. Powerful. But John Wheeler, I had to do this. Awesome. We will be doing some other stuff like this. I'm going to even thinking right now of sending me a video for us that really come here and let's have some ideas what we want to create together as co-creators. What do we want to see change in this reality? Let's talk about this in the very near future on the next video. Have a great